Malamut pregame show, ladies and gentlemen, ahead of Eagles, Cardinals, Week 17. Bill Colarulo, Adam Malamut, and Seth Joyner with you. Mark Farzett along for the ride as well. It was like the football gods, gentlemen, looked at the Eagles fans and said, whoa. You want the Cowboys to win this? Okay, fine, but we're only going to win by 1 point, and we're going to take away a 2-point conversion that was clearly a 2-point conversion, and we're going to have the official completely ignore the offensive lineman that went up and said, I'm eligible, I'm reporting as eligible, mix up the hands, just barely lose that game on a horrible call, and benefiting the Dallas Cowboys, and hence benefiting the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome into the show. First and foremost, gentlemen, Sal, I'll start with you as the former player. Of all the madness of last night, we'll get plenty into Eagles and Cardinals, obviously, but of all the madness of last night, Seth, what did you make of what went down in the final seconds of that game in Big D?
Well, everybody's going to want to point the finger at the referees, and the referees should just be a part of the game to call infractions and make sure that they're monitoring the game. I hate continually seeing the referees play a part in the wins and losses of it all. I've been complaining about this and talking about this going all the way back to the Super Bowl. The minute that guy threw that flag at the end of that game, he knew that he was controlling the outcome of the game. The game should always be controlled by the outcome of the players and what the players are doing on the field. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've never seen so much idiocy, in coaching in my entire life. It's like I don't know how Mike McCarthy has this tag hung on him as this great coach, when his entire career he's just made one abomination after another as far as managing time at the end of a game. How the hell do you throw the ball 3 times when you can eat up all of their potential timeouts, okay, and run the clock down in a way where the game is over, essentially? I mean, you're throwing Hail Marys all the way down the field. Lastly, Jared Goff is the worst quarterback in the National Football League against pressure, okay? And you essentially get pressure on him all day. You pressure him into 2 turnovers throughout the game. And then you get into the last drive and you let him walk 75 to 80 yards down the field, and you don't blitz him. You don't come after him one time. You know that he can make all of those throws. Okay. You know that when he's in a less than pressurized situation, that's where he actually feasts and that's where he's best. But you allow him to sit in the pocket, Dan Quinn, and you don't come after him one time. You've been playing man all game long, and now you're going to get in zone and sit in zone and let him systematically walk down the field. And then Dan Campbell was the cherry on top last night. Are you kidding me? Okay, it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to go win the game, okay? But when it's clear that, you got a 5-yard penalty and they move you back to the 7, now it's time to kick the extra point, go into overtime and give your team a chance to win. There's no way in hell that you're going to score from the 7-yard line for a 2-point conversion. Just the drunken stupor of analytics knows no bounds. It knows no ends, when you look at, the game of football now. It's absolutely ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and Seth's spot on, because when you talk about analytics, what analytics doesn't factor in that situation is that the Detroit Lions have now already called their best 2 plays in that situation. They called the one where it gets called back on the ineligible receiver, and then they call the other one that turns out to be an offsides call on Micah Parsons, excuse me. So now you're going to go with your 3rd best play. It just made absolutely no sense to me. I love aggressiveness, but there's a time to be appropriately aggressive, and then there's just reckless. And I thought Dan Campbell was reckless in that situation. You kicked the extra point. But this was the perfect situation for the Eagles, Farzi, because we needed the Lions to win, but nobody wanted to root for the Cowboys. So a lot of people were saying, we just want to see the Lions lose. Well, that's what happened. The Lions lost that game. The Cowboys didn't win it. And you saw the Cowboys make bad decisions. They didn't play well. The Lions didn't look great. So I think that was probably the best outcome for Philadelphia Eagles fans.
It was not, Bill. It was not. I wanted a tie, because I will never, as long as I breathe air on this planet, root for the Cowboys. I'll take a lesser seed. I will not root for the Cowboys. But you talk about aggression. The aggression here, Jalen Hurts this past week and many quarterbacks before him have bought their offensive linemen gifts. Jared Goff should be buying a guy on the other side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson, a gift, because that guy kept his team in the game. That guy was an absolute beast. He got after Prescott, and quite frankly, he was the best Eagle on the field last night too, because he beat the pulp out of that front four and out of Prescott when he had 3 sacks. But the pressures that he had were immeasurable to have other guys make plays. That guy on the Lions side, he deserves the recognition. But Jared Goff, my God, Seth, you were spot on. That guy looked like, I would not want to be the guy doing the laundry for the Lions last night.
Yeah, that was a busy night for that person, obviously. So you're not rooting for the Cowboys. I understand that, Adam, but I do have to say, so it's always the best case scenario for me. I don't want the lesser seed. The Eagles playing at home is a great thing. I would rather them play at home in the playoffs. So did you at least break it down to the idea of pulling for pulling for the best possible outcome for the Philadelphia Eagles? Because that's certainly, if I had a rooting interest in last night's game, that's what I was rooting for.
It always is, Farzy. But there's a part of me that says, all right, so if the game was tied, where would that have landed the Eagles? I mean, could we have still gotten the first seed? That wasn't going to happen because neither of these teams have that mentality, and you play to win, right? But at the end of the day, yes, of course, I'm going to root for the Eagles to have home field advantage. I'm going to root for the Eagles to be the number 1 seed. I want to be the best at whatever it is we're doing. But it's like rooting for 2 different terrorists, rooting for the rooting for the Cowboys to win this game. I have such disdain for the Cowboys and their fans, who I have to hear from this week. It's insufferable.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think we just need to we need to maintain focus where focus needs to be. This isn't really about Dallas. It isn't about the Lions. What you saw last night is about the Eagles. The Eagles now have had 3 games in a row. Okay. You had Dallas lost last week. You had the 49ers lost last week. And then you turn around and you get Dallas, you get the Lions to lose this week. Okay. The Eagles need to receive this prosperity that they've been given and go out and win these next 2 games and let the chips fall where they may. You never know. The Rams are another one of those football teams, that's playing really well, and they've got the 49ers in week 18. Now, if by chance they can figure out a way, and they're going to be in a situation where they're probably going to have to win that football game in order to get into the playoffs, okay? That's going to be a big game next week. So now everything is lining up for the Eagles, in the most majestic of ways. The 49ers lose last week. The Cowboys lose last week. Then the Lions turn around and lose this week. All the teams that the Eagles needed to lose have lost. The Eagles can't control that. So this is now about the Eagles. Get out of your own way. Go out and beat these 2 teams that you're supposed to beat, okay? And figure out a way to get it done in a way where we're not all holding our breath in the last 2 minutes of the game, because the Giants have no business playing with this football team. None whatsoever. Last week was just absolutely ridiculous, okay? It's time for this football team to figure it out. And by figuring it out, what I really mean is stop all the stupid mistakes, because 5 plays last week probably cost this football team an opportunity to actually blow the Giants out. 5 plays, 5 stupid plays that are preventable when you're paying attention to the details of the football game. Now, when you're playing against lesser teams, those are the types of things that allows teams to stay around. You look at Dallas. Dallas had an opportunity to put this game away. CeeDee Lamb fumbles it out of the end zone. Then they turn around. They're not converting 3rd downs. It's just these football teams have got to get out of their own way. Good football teams don't do this. But the problem is every team is doing it. Every football team in the National Football League right now is playing to some level of deficiency. They look good in spots, and they look terrible in other spots. It's been this way since the season began, with nobody playing in preseason, and all of a sudden, here we go. We go into the season. Oh, the first 4 games are going to be like the preseason. Why? Put these guys out there so you have some rhythm and some continuity. Right now, we just don't know who is who. Every week, we're speculating who's the best team. Well, Baltimore went to San Francisco and beat the brakes off of them. Now they're the number one team. Miami was the number one team. Then you got this roller coaster going on because no team is playing to the level right now. And probably the closest team to that level right now is the Baltimore Ravens, but no one's playing to that level of mistake-free, I'm not going to hurt myself type of football. It's one thing when teams force you into stuff. It's another thing, when teams force turnovers. But when you make stupid play after stupid play after stupid play, and it's on you as a team, as an individual player, and as a coaching staff, okay, now you're playing with fire. But everything is lining up perfectly for the Eagles. All they got to do is just go out and handle their business. Hey, it's either the number one seed, if by chance, the football gods throw you an extra bone. If they don't, at minimum, you walk away with the division and the number 2 seed with home field until you get to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, it's funny. I was running some errands yesterday, and I was outside a hardware store. And as I was walking out, in came a couple, looked like a husband and wife, both donning, before the Cowboys game last night, Cowboys sweaters. Like full-on Cowboy, like rooting for the Cowboys. They had their little baby with them, and the baby did not have Cowboys apparel on, so I didn't have to call.
I saw one of them yesterday too, Bart.
Okay.
Like, what the hell is going on? What is going on in the city of Philadelphia?
I said,
we need an exterminator in the city to get these roaches out of the city.
Right, exactly. And I said to him, I go, guys, that's bold. That's very bold walking around. And the guy, God bless both of them. The one guy looks at me and goes, the husband looks at me and he goes, if you guys handle your own business, this game tonight doesn't matter. And I said, excellent point. And that's the red carpet that's rolled out in front of the Eagles right now. They have to handle their business. There's a couple of plays. I mean, there's a lot of plays that we could look back on from the regular season, especially, let's say, in the Seattle Seahawks game, where maybe if they do things a little bit differently, the Eagles will already have an opportunity to really be in the driver's seat and control their own destiny with no outside help to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC. Unfortunately, now they need some help. But as far as them handling their own business and what's in front of them, Bill, I know you look at this, and everyone looks at this, and they say, "Oh my goodness gracious." The Arizona Cardinals are in a situation right now where, yes, they are the worst team in the NFL at defending the run. So obviously that lends itself for you to believe that they're going to actually maybe possibly run the football today. However, they suck at just about everything defensively. This Jonathan Gannon defense, and Seth, in a minute, I want to ask you differences between Jonathan Gannon in Philadelphia and Jonathan Gannon in Arizona. But Bill, all the numbers here, especially on the defensive side of the football, go in favor of the Eagles not only running the ball and having success, but, yes, throwing the ball and having success. And obviously their secondary has the second worst passer rating allowed. So Jalen Hurts should be able to eat in every facet of the game today, Bill.
You would hope so. You would hope so, because this offense definitely needs to get their mojo right going into the playoffs. Because when Seth talks about mistakes, this is an Eagles team that is now 26th in the NFL with a -7 turnover differential on the season. That's why it's so shocking that they are 11-4. When you are a -7 turnover differential, you're not going to win a lot of games. Eagles have figured out ways to do it. But you look at this Jonathan Gannon defense, it's similar to the stats you saw in Philly. Philadelphia last year, they were the number 1 passing defense. They were the 16th rushing defense. So you always expect the Jonathan Gannon defense is going to be a little bit better against the pass than they are against the run. Here, they're 12th against the pass. They are, like you mentioned, 32nd against the run. So common sense would tell us, right, Seth? Common sense would tell us the Eagles are going to run the football. Now, one promising fact that just got announced, Rashad Penny is active today. So is it going to be the day that Rashad Penny gets some carries against this Arizona Cardinals team? Farzy, I saw you question it. JAKIB Sports just tweeted it out. You know it's got to be accurate if JAKIB Sports is tweeting it out.
I'll have to double check, yeah.
So if Rashad Penny is active, and even if they don't get him involved, I did an Instagram video about this morning. This Philadelphia Eagles team should put up over 200 damn yards on the ground today against this Arizona Cardinals defense. Now, the one concern I do have, though, is on the flip side. You look at our defense, they better be able to stop the run because this Cardinals offense doesn't do a lot of things well. But one of the things they do really well is run the football. And they put up over 200 yards against the Niners. They put up over 200 yards against the Cowboys. And you look at this Eagles defense, even though they still sit in the top 10, they went the first 9 games of the year. They only let one team get over 100 yards rushing. The last 6 games, every single team has put up over 100 yards rushing. So the only way I see the Eagles losing this football game is if the Cardinals dominate them in the running game. So that's what I think they need to focus on the defensive side.
And you are correct. That is a good tweet. I looked at the inactives before. I thought I saw Rashad Penny on there from the Eagles website. Zach Cunningham is inactive. Avonte Maddox is up. So, yeah, look at that. They got another running back today.
You know,
they're going to run the ball.
They've been saving them. Now they're going to unleash the penny.
Yeah, and then all the fans that have been crying and screaming, and rightfully so, to see at least another running back out there and Rashad Penny actually run the football will say, I told you so, all season long, I told you so. And then here we are, a lot of animosity towards the Eagles not keeping him active for the entire season.
No, they'll throw it 45 times a day.
Yes, Adam.
I'm done defending the Eagles as being a great team. I love the Eagles. They have great players. They have not played as a team the entire season. But what I'm interested in is when you were talking, and you may not have seen it, Farzy, but when you were talking about the Eagles running all over Arizona, Seth gave you the Dikembe Mutombo. I want to hear Seth's take on that because Seth clearly has an opinion as to what's going to happen with this running game out there.
I think he just said it.
Well, I mean, listen, the obvious is there. You know, I think we all in our preparation go through where each team ranks every single week to understand, you know, where they rank running the football versus, you know, passing the football. You know, that kind of gives me an idea of where you can dominate the football game and where you can't. But the Eagles traditionally, whatever those numbers look like, they go the opposite direction. If they're weak against the pass, you know, if they're strong, if they're weak against the run, I should say, they throw the ball like they have no sense. You know, and when it's vice versa, they still throw the ball like they have no sense. You know, so I don't know. You know, they've been pretty balanced the last 2 weeks. You know, what are we going to see? I think the game will dictate it because, listen, the one thing that Arizona can do is they can run the football. And the 2 areas that, you know, you got to be worried about the most from a defensive perspective is their inability to stop the run and their inability to be disciplined as far as, you know, when you're rushing the passer. Kyler Murray's back. He's running. He can hurt you throwing the ball on the run. He can hurt you with his legs outside the pocket. You know, the last couple of weeks, I've been astonished at the lack of discipline that I've seen from Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, not maintaining contain. Especially, you know, last week you saw Tyrod Taylor get out after Tommy DeVito went out of the game. You saw him get out of the pocket and make some plays that really hurt the Eagles last week. So if they're going to maintain, you know, not being really disciplined in their pass rush lanes, there are a lot of big plays. Arizona, they're not a very good team, but they got some players. The Rondale Moore kid, I mean, can flat out fly. They got some guys that can run. And James Conner runs the ball, you know, like I mean, he's an older, you know, Pacheco. The way he runs with a lot of aggression and a lot of determination. And if he thinks that he can have a big day, they're going to feed him and go play action off of that. So, listen, the table is set. The Eagles on offense, they need to run the football to control the amount of possessions. Again, last week, there were 10 possessions in that game against the Giants. They should never, you know, against a team that they should dominate, be in a situation where, you know, you get double-digit possessions in a game. It doesn't make any sense because they had 5 possessions in the first half. You know, they had an 11-play drive and a 18-play drive that only netted them, you know, a field goal. Yet and still, you know, they scored 17 points in the first half. 20. You know, if you count the last field goal, but he scored 4 out of 5 possessions. So it doesn't make any sense to me why, you know, they wouldn't stick to the game plan. The game plan should be run the ball against a team that's really not that good against the run. Okay, we don't have to, you know, do a whole lot of passing the football. If you're gonna pass it short. Take what what the defense is giving you, move the chains, put yourself in a situation where you can score each and every possession. This should not be one of those games where, we're holding our breath in the last 2 minutes of the game. I mean, if the Eagles, if they can stop the boneheaded mistakes that kills them when they get in the red zone, if they can figure out a way to, control the time of possession by running the football, that this is a game by the time we get into the third quarter, it should pretty much be over. And we're looking at and thinking about how we're taking our guys off the field for health reasons. But this is not a good team. But if they continue to play the way that they've been playing all season long, which, again, like I said, what you see from week to week is a preview of what you're going to see the next week. And if they can't figure out the things that they've done wrong, turn the football over, not being able to convert on third down in key situations, not being able to get off the field in third down situations defensively, then they're going to be in for another long day, against a team that they should be.
We're going to have John McMullen joining us after the break. But before we take that, Adam, we know we're losing you for the rest of the show, so I want to make sure I get your official Eagles-Cardinals prediction for today's 1 o'clock kickoff. What do you got today?
I agree with Seth. I think that if these guys play like a team, one team, these guys go out there and everybody does what they're supposed to do, we should dominate. I'm looking for the fourth quarter to have all of our starters for health reasons sitting, and I'm thinking that the Eagles are going to win this thing 37-7.
Very nice. Now, are you hopping in Malamut 1 today?
No. I gave these tickets away early in the season, and
you didn't want to boo Jonathan Gannon?
No, listen, I'm actually sitting, you can see I'm sitting in the studio at the office here, and I'm looking forward to a day of family.
Oh,
so
that's very
I want
nice.
to send, before I sign off, I want to wish all of you guys and all of our audience best wishes for a healthy and happy new year. And come on, go Birds. Let's stop this passing crap. Let's run the damn ball.
There you go. Adam Malamut Law, thanks so much. As always, my friend, it's been a pleasure working with you in 2023. Look forward to a long playoff run in 2024 where we get to talk some more Eagles football. All right, Adam, thanks so much. Absolutely. All right, we're going to be back with our friend John McMullen, NFL insider for JAKIB Sports, as well as co-host of Birds